Hello, everyone. This is Matt Black at WrestleZone, and I am here with the lead developer of Ultra Pro Wrestling, Sam Vallely. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing very good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Man, this is an exciting time for wrestling video games because it seems like there's multiple ones being worked on, and we went through several years where we would just have like one wrestling game a year, and everybody's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
looking for more. And it looks like you have a big one coming up with Ultra Pro Wrestling. How did you decide to get into this, and what's the backstory behind you wanting to start this project?
Well, I was an independent game developer. I mostly created 2D games for Apple, iPhone, things like that. But I actually knew a lot of people associated with the Scottish Wrestling Company. Um, uh, some people might not know this, but when I was younger, I tried to pursue a career in wrestling. So I got to know a lot of people on the indies around Scotland. So there came a time where I sort of reconnected with some of these people. And yeah, I just because it just kind of fit. I was a game developer. I really liked those old AKI games. Always had a sort of inkling to want to develop a wrestling game. And then there was just a conversation had with one of the owners of one of these companies, and we decided to collaborate and work together. And we were going to create a game for that company. I'm not saying the name of the company just to avoid any,
Fair,
because
fair.
it ended up there was a couple of years spent working on a game with them, and it fell apart. There was just a kind of breakdown in communication and all that stuff. So that's where it originated. And I ended up shelving the game for a couple of years, doing other games, doing other software stuff. And eventually, one of the reasons that I didn't go back to it for a while was because I thought it would only really be successful if it had these licensed wrestlers, these real world people that everyone knows. So eventually, though, because I do really love those old AKI games, and as a lot of people say, we've been waiting 20 years for another version of this game, and it's just never happened. And so I thought, you know what? It doesn't matter if there's real people, if it's fictional characters. I love these games, and it's the game engine that's the important thing, really. So I'm just going to make it. And if I have to just make up a bunch of characters, I'll just put a heavy focus on the creation suite so people can create their own, and that's it. As long as the core engine is if it can come close to as good as those N64 games, then
Yeah.
I'm happy. So yeah, so for the past couple of years, I've been back working on that game, rebranded Ultra Pro Wrestling, fictional characters, and yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. And like you said, this is a spiritual successor to like the Aki games from the '90s. We're talking No Mercy, WCW, NWO, Revenge, Virtual Pro Wrestling, all that stuff. There's another company right now who's working on their own little spiritual successor to the Aki games, the AW Fight Forever, which will be out at some point this year.
Yeah,
They're claiming that their stance is they're trying to modernize the engine. They're saying they want to blend No Mercy with like SmackDown Here Comes the Pain.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
are you planning to modernize this engine for today's professional wrestling? Are you sticking strictly to what worked with the original engine back in the day?
Well, I suppose I am trying to modernize it in the sense that it's not just a pure clone of those games. I'm trying to recreate those games as a base point to then which I can add layers on top of it, create more moves, create more situations for moves. For example, in the AKI games, you can never wrestle in the crowd, so it's just adding to the experience that way.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean AEW. There's certain game mechanics where I know where they're coming from, where they're trying to modernize it. Like No Mercy, for example, didn't have certain mechanics like if you do a springboard, um, you would just go straight, and if you happen to hit the guy, then cool. But
Yeah.
But in modern games, you especially see it in the WWE game. But I've seen it in some AEW trailer footage stuff where you actually kind of veer towards the guy when you do a springboard. You actually
Yeah.
they kind of line each other up, and it's to make it look like the catch for if it's a high cross body. It's to make that catch look a lot more seamless and a lot more realistic.
Yeah.
But that to me, when I see that, and it's such a subtle thing that I think a lot of people won't pick up on, that to me is a key difference between what the AKI developers were going towards and what AEW, as you say, they're mixing in that sort of here comes the pain element to it as well. So it's not for me. It's I know a lot of people see AEW and they see it as a spiritual successor to No Mercy or any of the AKI games. For me, I see these little tiny details, and I'm like, no. AKI developers wouldn't have done that.
That's not exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. So and so I'm trying to modernize the old engine, but everything I do to change it, to improve it, increase the number of moves, everything I do, I'm doing it through a sort of filter where I'm trying to think what the core principles of those games were, and so any new features they kind of have to apply to they have to be consistent with what I at least feel those core principles were. So
No, that makes perfect sense to me. I know, like, everybody knows WCW, NWO, the WWF games back then, but some people don't know about the Virtual Pro Wrestling series, which was very important to the Aki engine back then. I noticed in your arenas you have an MMA arena plan for the game. In the Virtual Pro Wrestling, there was a lot of MMA inspired combat in those games that we didn't see in the stateside games. Are you planning on doing like MMA style gameplay for that specific arena, or is
um,
that something that you're not planning at this time?
no, yeah. So I think what it's going to be is each wrestler, and you can customize all the wrestlers in the game as well. You can set a fight style to them. So an MMA fight style would change some of the moves, and it would more line up with, for instance, yeah, as you say, in the Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 games, um, there's a move that's a grapple that just isn't in No Mercy and
Yep.
all these other games where it's you kind of go for the grapple, but then you change into a takedown and you lift the guy up, and then all of a sudden you're in a mount position. That move just isn't in any of the other the WCW games or
Yep.
the WWF games. So yeah, I've got an appreciation for that, for having like another layer of that game engine that they were obviously doing in Virtual Pro Wrestling. So I've got an appreciation for trying to also evolve that and bring that into this game as well. And yeah, it's funny for me. Like I didn't take to MMA for a long time. A lot of my friends kind of got into MMA. It took me a long time to begin to appreciate it. But one of the things that really made me appreciate it was it was a documentary that's all about Royce Gracie.
Mhm.
And it turns out that AKI actually had a bunch of MMA guys that they didn't use their actual names. They used like fictional
Mm.
names. But these MMA characters in virtual pro wrestling were based off of real world MMA characters such as Royce and such as Bass Rutten. There's a Bass Rutten character in the game. So that made me sort of realize just how important that MMA scene in Japan was at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the promotion was called Pancreas, where Bass Rutten and all these guys fought, and that's in AKI. It's in the Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 game. So that definitely gave me more of an appreciation of that environment and the context for that. And so yeah, as we're evolving what that AKI engine was, yeah, I think we definitely have to try and include those MMA elements as well.
Yeah, that's very cool. Now I know you're doing an entirely original roster, and Fire Pro's been known to do that over the year as well. And their character is completely customizable, editable. You can change their names, you can change the looks, and all that. Your Ultra Pro Wrestling's going the same path for that. Like everybody, all the like the base roster is going to be entirely customizable.
Yeah, So the only thing is when you're in the career mode, um, the career mode, which I know we'll probably get to later, but the career mode is sort of separated into chapters. So while you're inside of a chapter, if you're inside the 80s chapter, you won't you'll be able to customize the look of the wrestlers there, but there's some aspects you won't be able to customize until you're out of that chapter because
because they're
those parts of the
locked in.
characters they're kind of locked to that story progression. But yeah, the idea is every character is customizable in the same way. It was true in the AKI games; you could edit all the characters. You couldn't edit the moves for the wrestlers in No Mercy. I'm not sure about Virtual Pro Wrestling too, but yeah, you couldn't edit the moves in No Mercy. But I would open that to you can edit everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like since you're going heavy create, so people will come in, they'll want to create, like WWE and AEW and New Japan and all that. What other create modes are you looking to add in this? Are you planning like create a championship, create an arena, create a show? Like what create modes are you planning for this game?
Yeah, so we have creative promotion, because, like you say, yeah, you kind of want the promotions to be treated in the same way that the characters are, where you can kind of fully customizable. You can fully customize the promotions and recreate these other real world or even your own fictional made up promotions as well. And when you look at the AKI games, if you changed one of the characters, it changed it everywhere. So, like, it would even on the intro, the opening sequence, it would change. The
Yeah,
characters would look to whatever which is something you don't really see in modern games.
yeah,
But that
not
was
at
always
all.
no, but that was always something cool that I really liked. So again, same with the promotions. You change the promotions and um, you change aspects of the promotions, like possibly their region where they're located, or how popular they are, and then you load up the career mode, and those changes will take place as well. So that there's a slight element of Booker mode there where you can uh, structure a promotion, like maybe an ECW type of promotion. Maybe they don't have as much money as the other ones, or so you can edit the promotion to reflect that. And then when you play the career mode, the career is quite dynamic, so the promotion will grow with the popularity and all that stuff, and lots of things can happen from that. So
That's very
yeah,
cool.
the promotions have to be customizable in that same way as well. And then, of course, you've got create an event, which each event is tied to a promotion. Each promotion can have, I think it's, I'll need to go back and look at it. I think it's maybe 12 events, I think.
Oh,
I can't
nice.
remember. But, and yeah, so then within that as well, create a promotion, you have create a title, because these are your promotions that you'll be able to edit. So there can't really be one championship locked to a promotion, because maybe one promotion will have a women's title, maybe the other promotion won't. Maybe a promotion would have a light heavyweight title, maybe another promotion won't. So you have to be able to customize what championships each promotion has as well. So there is a create a championship inside of each promotion.
That's awesome. And I know a lot of people who love to create stuff. One of their main gripes against 2K every year: 100 creator wrestler slots. That's all you get. And people are like, we want more. How many creative slots? I don't know if you can answer it this early in the development process, but how many creator wrestler slots are you planning for Ultra Pro Wrestling?
Well, it's something that's still being developed, because the way our system works just now, it is a limited. I have to enter how many slots there are,
Yeah.
but I'm working on a way of doing it where it's not going to be that. It's basically going to be it will reference a sort of external text file, and it'll basically be however much your system that you're on can handle. Someone told me that the Fire
Nice.
Pro Wrestling games do it that way, and so I thought, well, okay, let's do it that way then, because that is what people want. People want to be able to have 500 wrestlers in the game. So if that's possible, if I mean, I, I'm trying to think. It's hard to 100% confirm that, because I
Yeah,
don't.
of course.
Yeah, there might be some reason as to why that doesn't work. right now I can't see any reason as to why it shouldn't work. So that is the goal. That is what we want to try and achieve.
That's really cool. I know you have plans for an online mode if we get to that Kickstarter goal. And people love community creations on the 2K games. Fire Pro has a thing you can go on and download other people's creations. Are you planning to implement some kind of community creations for Ultra Pro Wrestling where people can download other people's wrestlers or promotions or stuff like that on like a database for the game?
Yeah, definitely. Because, well, I mean, you'll know as well, looking through Twitter, the community that create these stuff, like you'll
Very
you'll have,
passionate.
yeah. I mean, it's funny actually because I see more images of people uploading like created things than you do see people uploading matches. So it's like you wonder if they're spending way
Yeah,
more time creating stuff than actually playing the game, you know. So, but I'm aware of how much people love to create their own characters, create representations of real characters, and yeah, I mean, if someone spends a lot of time creating a really just spot on version of Bret Hart, yeah, save other people the effort of having to do that and get it right. Like, you know, upload it, and then maybe we could have like a ranking system as well, where, you know, maybe you'll type in Bret Hart and there'll be a few Bret Harts, but you'll see the one that has like the however many percentage positive rating, and you'll look at it and you go, yeah, that's pretty perfect. So that sort of system allows for everyone to have the kind of the best possible versions of created wrestlers of all kinds. So I love that. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. Are you guys planning on having like any type of audio in this game? And I don't mean like music. I mean like commentary or ring announcers or anything like that. Or are you steering clear of that for this game?
As of now, we're steering clear of commentary, because I just think it's so hard to get right. Because one thing
Yeah.
that I noticed early on, and I get like, I played games back when there weren't commentary because it was too difficult for games to have that.
Yep.
But I remember when commentary started coming in, and maybe now, as I'm not too familiar with more recent games. Like, I've not played any of the 2K games in a long time, so I'm not sure how good the commentary is now. But I remember when it first came in, and it was so repetitive that it got to be annoying. And
Yes. Yeah.
so so yeah, that's something that I kind of think you're almost as well as just avoiding it completely, rather than spending a lot of time trying to get that right. And of course, with us having so many different promotions in the game, um, you know, you don't want to have the same commentators for every promotion. So, you know, the amount of audio recording that would be required to have lots of different commentators across all the different promotions, and to have it not repetitive, it's so that it's difficult.
Yeah.
Maybe if AI takes off and we can have on the fly, you know, changes of commentary, then maybe that would be something to look into. But
Maybe.
so yeah, we do want vocals in terms of, one thing that Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 had a lot of that seems to be lessened in the other games is the sort of grunts. Just, you know, when you're picking a guy up, you'd hear the, oh, you know, like
Yeah.
just all these grunts and noises and stuff like that. So we definitely want that in the game, and we definitely
Sweet.
want unique voices that have lots of different grunt types. So yeah, there's that. In terms of announcements for, like, yeah, an announcer, that is something that I want, but I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be possible for the initial release. But it's definitely something I would work on, because that's something that, yeah, that would be repetitive. But I mean, that's repetitive in real life anyway. You know, anytime the guy comes in there, it's the same dialogue. You know, from wherever. You know, so that's acceptable to be repeated. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Now the game is already funded on Kickstarter, and you're going through stretch goals right now to make this game as big and as expansive as humanly possible. I'm gonna run down everything that's been funded so far, and
Sure.
then we're gonna run down some of the stuff that we want to make sure this game gets to, within the next week and a half before the Kickstarter ends. Right now, things that have been funded: the core gameplay mechanics, core AI mechanics, basic match type with 400 basic animations, full gameplay mechanics, the creator wrestler system, advanced AI mechanics, 600 advanced animations, creator promotion system, advanced creator wrestler, a weapon system, 300 taunt animations, and wrestler entrances. So that sounds like a lot, but there's a lot of cool stuff that hasn't been funded yet. We've got online mode, create a pay-per-view, referee mechanics, special match types, backstage areas, the career mode that we've mentioned earlier here, the texture edit system, a custom music editor, and an online ranking system. So we already know what's in, but now it's time to talk about what might be in. And there's a lot of good stuff here. When you're saying special match types, what are we talking here? Cage match, ladder match, stuff like that, or
No, I'll need to think actually, because was there an advanced match type that was in the? I'm
not
trying
that
to.
I saw. No.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how I've worded things because I can't remember if special match type just meant up until that point we might only have the basic one-on-one match. So special match type, if I'm not mistaken, I think means just taking that core match type and expanding it in the different ways to create tag team match, triple threat match, just all the different types of match mechanics. Because the big hurdle is getting the one-on-one match fully developed with no
Perfect.
no
Yeah.
errors, no bugs, and all that stuff. But once you've got that done, the additional, a tag team match, it's not too difficult. It's just a little bit of different rule set that you need to implement. Then yeah, there's a whole bunch of. I actually did a video that's on our YouTube channel that it breaks down all the different match types, and there's actually quite a lot of them. Which, again, taking a one-on-one match and making it a tag team match, it's a little bit difficult, but it's not too difficult once you've got that core match in place. But because of all the different types of match types, it's going to take a long time to get them all done. But that actually does, I'm sure, yeah, that actually will include ladder match and stuff like that as well. So I think yes, it wasn't specifically special match types in the way that you generally think of them, a table match, ladder match. I think it's just a sort of umbrella for all the match types that aren't one-on-one.
Cool. No, that makes sense. Backstage areas. I think one of my favorite parts of No Mercy was fighting backstage. And I don't really feel like a lot of the modern games get it right. Like, it doesn't feel fun to fight backstage in modern wrestling games. Like, to me, not to me personally. Some other people might disagree, but I don't find them as fun or interactive or as anything as we did back then. What are you planning for, like, backstage areas for this if we get to that goal?
So yeah, I mean, the backstage area is going to be such an important part for the creator, the career mode, because that's where you sort of what do you call it? It's kind of like the hub of your career mode. You'll be backstage, and that's where you can go to the gorilla position, and that's where you'll decide if you want to start your match now. If I'm trying to think, we'll have just all the different areas for if you want to change your character's look. There'll be the sort of dress area for that. There'll be the management area for talking to management and all that stuff. So the backstage area is like an important area for the career mode. So it has to have all the different rooms and all the different areas that you can go to and interact with. But also, as No Mercy and actually No Mercy was the only one, I think, where you could go backstage.
I think so. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that
yeah,
was just introduced to No Mercy.
yeah.
If I'm not
So
if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yeah. In Revenge, you could throw them up the ramp, but then they'd come back down.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so in the same way that No Mercy, you could, in the middle of a match, as long as there wasn't countouts on, you could just throw them up the ramp. They would go backstage, and all of a sudden you're backstage. So we'll have that as well. you'll be able to in mid match just go backstage whenever you want. You don't have to specify that it's a backstage match or a Falls Count Anywhere match in order to activate the backstage area. As long as you're not going to get counted out, you can go there. You can probably still go there and be counted out, but yeah.
What is the texture edit system? That's how it's worded on the Kickstarter. I'm not really sure what you mean by that, so I was hoping you could elaborate on that a bit.
Yeah, so what that is it's an environment in the game where you can choose the existing clothing items or create a new one. I think you can create a new one. Yeah, and you basically select something like a T-shirt or boots, whatever, and you'll control it with the analog stick. You'll get a little brush, and so you can just paint onto the textures, paint onto the clothing items, and you will generate a new texture based on your painting. So again, like if someone gets really good at that system,
and you know someone will.
yeah, exactly. There will be someone out there that spends 10 hours just perfecting
Oh yeah.
RVD's costume or something like that. And then that's the beauty of that. We don't expect every single person to dedicate so much time to creating all the different outfits. So again, that has to be something that once you've done that outfit, you can upload it to the creative community creations. And yeah, hopefully over time, enough people will dedicate enough time that you'll be able to just log on, look through all the different costumes, attires, everything, and there won't be much from the real world that isn't there.
Which is great. You say custom music editor. I'm assuming that means like custom soundtracks for entrance music.
So the custom music editor is right now we have a system that's not fully integrated, but it works to a degree where it's a MIDI file editor. So you can in-game create. I mean, again, it's going to take someone who knows what they're doing and who's pretty good at that.
Yeah.
But they'll be able to go in-game and create just anything from history or even something completely original. The idea behind that is because with it being that way, it's seen as a platform. If users upload to it, it saves us from any sort of legal issues.
Makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, people can upload all the different theme songs. Now, fair enough. Many MIDI file systems, they're obviously not as high quality as other music options, and there's no vocals as well. So it is a kind of toned down version of the song, but at least it's a way of getting in there. Now, since looking into that, there have been people that have suggested that there's maybe other ways of getting music in there. Like there's the Spotify integration. So if you have a Spotify account, I've not looked into it too much, but apparently that's a good way of using real world music for entrances and stuff like that. So yeah, I think with music there's a ton of options to look into as well. But I think the MIDI file creator, that's a sort of, at least we've got that to fall back on. If nothing else, if everything else fails, at least we've got that.
Which is great. And we got it, like I said, it's been mentioned a bunch of times already, but we got to talk about it. The career mode, which, based on what you've already said already, sounds very expansive and very, detailed. What can we look forward to if this career mode gets backed for this game?
So it'll start off when we actually launch. We're probably only likely to have the first chapter, which will be the 80s, and afterwards we can then update the game with the 90s and everything else. But so basically, you take control of a character. You can create a character. You can select one of the characters already there, and you just select what promotion you want to start off in, and then you're off, and you can. I mean, obviously you have wrestling matches. You form friendships. You make enemies. You can do heel turns, face turns. there'll be a the way that it actually works is you have a sort of popularity system in front of the crowd. So you have an in-ring popularity, but you also have a backstage popularity as well. And so those two different popularity meters can sort of generate story opportunity. Oh, sorry, that's my phone.
Oh,
Story
it's all
opportunity.
good.
Yeah, those two different systems, they'll create story opportunities. So it basically means that every single time you play the career mode, it should be entirely different every single time because there's so many different variables. And of course, you're in one promotion, you can jump to another promotion. The friends and the rivals that you've had from the previous promotions will be remembered. So if you come back to a
Nice.
promotion like 5 years later, the story, the elements of the story, yeah, they can all sort of play into each other. There will be some injected storylines that are basically real world storylines that we're kind of taking and molding a little bit and making sure that they're in the game as well. Because I think people do want to play. The starting point when thinking about the career mode is basically I'd love to replay that Attitude Era and have WCW, WWF, and ECW and be involved in that world and be able to switch between WWF and ECW and WCW and also interfere in you
That'd be
know
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the example I always give is like, if you have your Undertaker type prototype character, just make sure that you end up facing him at WrestleMania and just beat him and end the streak so that it never happens. So things like that. If you could interfere with the world that way, I think that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like the possibilities are limitless for this
Yeah,
mode,
yeah.
which is great. I was going to ask about support post launch. It sounds like that you have plans for that with patches and continuous updates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, that's a great thing. When are you looking to launch Ultra Pro Wrestling? In a perfect world, barring hurdles and obstacles and everything, when are you hoping to see this game launch? Like, when are people going to be able to get their hands on it?
Well, I think our timelines just now, we're sort of estimating that I think it's November is of this year is for the early access playable demo.
Nice.
That will only be available on Steam though, but then that will give everyone a good feel of the game engine, the gameplay. It'll be a one-on-one match. You'll only actually have two characters for this demo.
Yeah, for a demo,
Um,
that's fair.
yeah, yeah, and then because there's so much content with especially with the career mode, the online mode. There's so much to go into and expanding all the different match types. It's likely going to take almost another year and maybe another 10 months. So we're looking at sort of late next year, late 2024, before we have a finished full release. I think I've always said the thing is if the Kickstarter is doing really well, if the Kickstarter can get that 80,000, and even if it
Which is
gets
the
over
which is the
that,
goal.
which is
That's where
which
we
is
want to be.
but if any money that was to, and again, I'm hopeful that we can get to the 80,000. Any money that we get after that all helps speed up the game, speed up the development. It helps us hire more people. One of the biggest time-consuming parts of this is the animations.
Yeah, I
I know
bet.
there's some people that see the animations, and I say some people. There's been like 3 people that that are like, that think we've just somehow went into the No Mercy cartridge and pulled the animations out. You can't do that. And trust me, the modding community have been trying to do that for years. It doesn't appear to be possible. So
Yeah.
these animations, which we are obviously trying to match as best we can, the timing, everything of the No Mercy animations, it's it's hard, it's difficult. It's very, very hard to get right. It takes a long time to do one move. But the more people we have to sit down and do all the grueling stuff, the quicker the game gets made. So any money we have on top of the goal all goes towards that, and so it just all gets it done quicker. But as of right now, the goal is the end of 2024.
Yep, which makes sense. Um, I know people are gonna get mad if I don't ask this question, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask. You're gonna have men and women in the game. Some games allow them to wrestle each other, and some games don't. Like the later WWE titles, you can't have intergender matches. You can have like mixed tag matches, but if the guy touches the girl, that automatic DQ. Like you can't really do anything like that in those games. AEW is going for a different approach. They're letting like the intergender matches in there. Ultra Pro Wrestling is. Are you going to be able to do like a guy versus a girl, or is that like not on the table?
That is definitely on the table. Like
Nice.
I don't understand. I mean, it's a video game. It's like I
So
grew
that's
up
what
with
I've
like
always said too.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up with like Street Fighter. So
Yep.
imagine you selected Ryu, and all of a sudden you're not able to select Chun Li as an opponent, like because yeah, that would be intergender. Like
Exactly.
it's like I don't get it. I don't understand why they're doing that. It's a video game. We're all adults. We know that we know that male on female violence is not okay.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
You don't have to tell us that. Like it's a video game. Um, but I mean, yeah, I mean, you look at like China. China did wrestle against the men, and and there's nothing ever wrong with that, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
There's a lot of women doing that now. Like
Yeah,
not in
yeah,
WWE per se, but I mean, Masha Slamovich just beat Nick Gage to become the GCW World Champion over the
right,
weekend. So I
yeah.
mean,
That's
these
it.
things happen. Like it's not like out of the realm of possibility in the world of wrestling anymore. These things happen all the time.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely have intergender matches. The thing is as well, we're approaching this as a sandbox game. We want all the players, to basically be able to do anything that you want in this game, as much as we as developers can allow that. And so, why would we put a restriction on something that there doesn't have to be a restriction on? We just want you. If you don't want to do a man versus women match, then don't. If you want to do it, then do it. It's up to you.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. I've kept you here a long time. I'm not going to keep you here much longer. We're halfway to the Kickstarter goal. Little over a week left. For everybody who's watching, still on the fence, maybe about whether they want to, head to the Kickstarter page and put some money down on this project. Give them one final hard sell of why they should put money down on Ultra Pro Wrestling and pick themselves up an early copy of the game before anybody else, because there's options on your perks things. They can get a, like, their money goes to buying a copy of the game. Like it's not like you have to wait. Like your support is buying a copy of the game essentially for for PlayStation or Xbox or Steam or whatever you choose to do. So what's your sell to the people still on the fence about Ultra Pro Wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we really aren't some big studio. We were actually really struggling to keep this office running. And in fact, I should probably use this as an opportunity to say thank you to M. Dickey, because we were very, very close to closing the doors. But M. Dickey actually donated to our Patreon, and helped us maintain this office.
That's
So
awesome.
massive thank you to him. But yeah, we're a small studio. Before we had this office, and before I had anyone else helping with this game, I was doing this in my bedroom, in my spare time, as much as I could, with absolutely no money going into this. This game, as I said, it started off with another company, and this game has actually started off 7 years ago. So although I took a few years away from it, um, this game has been developed for so long with nothing, with no money, and so if you donate to the Kickstarter, you're getting a copy of the game, but you're also making this whole process for us so much easier. So, and also there's all we've got we've got some rewards on the Kickstarter. Like we decided a good incentive would be that if you donate on the Kickstarter, there's some exclusive items. There's an exclusive weapon that you only ever get with the Kickstarter donation, and there's a couple of exclusive attires that you only ever get with the Kickstarter donation. So that was a little incentive that we put in there to sort of try and encourage people to help us out at this stage, because obviously if you buy the game once it's out, obviously that's amazing, we appreciate that, but now is the time that we we really need the support and the help,
Yes.
and all that. And the thing is as well, all the money, every single penny of the money that comes in, all goes towards the development. In fact, I personally work 7 days a week on this, and all the money from the Kickstarter, I'm actually only going to pay myself a part-time salary. I'm only going to pay myself for 3 days work, but I'm going to be working 7 days a week on this. And that's purely so that I can use any money that I would have got otherwise to give to other people to help get the game done even better, even quicker, and make it even better, and all the rest of it. So that's the situation. And if you can help out with that at this stage, then awesome. That would really, really help us. So if you want this game, many people like me have been wanting it for 20 years. So yeah. So that's my hard sell.
Yeah, I mean, look, wrestling fans have been saying for years they want the ultimate sandbox wrestling game, and it sounds like Ultra Pro Wrestling is going to give us that. But you got to help get them there. They're halfway to the final goal. Kickstarter, a little over a week away. The link will be in the description of this video below, so please head on over there and support Ultra Pro Wrestling. Sam, thank you so much for sitting down with me today, and I look forward to talking to you again in the future, hopefully, about the process of the game and where we're going at in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.